So, just in case for anybody who doesn't know or isn't familiar, we have some folks who haven't built their first Mona world yet. This is an empty Mona starter package that you can download to get things started. And the first thing you're going to see is just this blank scene. You want to go into Mona and you want to click Load Space Scenes. And then you want to delete this default scene, the untitled scene. I'm just going to remove scene. And there we go. We've got a Mona space and we could launch this. We've got a spawn point and we could walk around with our avatar. It's ready to go for us to implement and design and create whatever it is that we want. So I'm just going to quickly import all the packages for this workshop and the previous two. So I'm going to go to Assets, Import Package, Custom Package, and in the files that you download for any one of the workshops, you're going to see, for example, where did it go? You're going to see a folder with the name of the workshop or the kit or whatever it is you're downloading, as well as a package. So the package you can import into an existing Unity space, and then the files in the folder is a Unity project itself that you can open up. So I'm just going to import the packages themselves. So just go ahead and select them, and then we're going to click on Import. Alright, so I'm going to go back. I'm going to import. We just imported the locks and puzzles. I'm going to import the projectile and scoring modules.
Oh, there's a projectile and scoring module. Is that new?
Yeah, dude, that's the one that I think that might come in handy for you if you want. So I'm going to import the final package, the Retrowave Obstacle Course Game Kit. And once again, for anybody who just popped in, I have in the chat links to all the downloads as well as the workshop videos for previous workshops. So you can download all that stuff if you like. And if you have anything that you're working on, if you have some model for a door that you want to open with a lock, anything that you want to, actually implement, feel free to open up Unity and ask questions, and we'll make that happen for you.
Oh yeah, man, it's awesome. Thanks, Pixel Hustler.
Yeah, I'm gonna save it for when we get to that, but it all of a sudden hit me. I was like, oh wait, Z's been asking for this for a minute. Alright, so I've got all my packages installed, and these are basically the packages for the last three workshops. And I'm going to go over to the Project tab to the Mona Library folder, where we have Kits and VS for visual scripting. So the kits, we have the Puzzles and Locks and the Retrowave Obstacle Course. And again, I'm just going to goof off just to demonstrate how easy it is to implement all kinds of interactions. So first and foremost, I'm going to drag a keypad lock from our Puzzles and Locks modules in Workshop, and it's going to prompt you with the window for importing TMP Essentials. That's just basically something called Text Mesh Pro that Unity utilizes for displaying text. We just go ahead and click Import TMP Essentials, and we're good to go. So now let me just quickly position this door. And for anyone who's not familiar with the Puzzles and Locks workshop, you can click on, where is it? We have a demo world right here that you can visit. The code is 123 if you like. What's up, Moody? Hey, Joe. So just to recap, I just imported a bunch of Unity packages with our different locks and puzzles modules, things from our previous workshop for adding interactivity into our Mona spaces, and I'm just demonstrating how quickly and easy it is to be able to implement all that stuff. So I've imported a bunch of the packages just by going to Assets, Import Package, and selecting the package file that comes with the download. And I've got the last three packages for the last three workshops we did. And I've implemented, or I've added a door with a keypad lock on it from our Locks and Puzzles workshop. Oh, looks like we're missing something there. And I'm just going to drag and drop a few more elements here. So let's do a super jump power up from our retro wave workshop for building an obstacle course game. I'm just going to position that out of the way. Oops. Unity's acting up a little bit. Just a moment. There we go. Okay, I'm going to add an anti-gravity fan in there. Make that a little smaller. And then let's get to our projectile module. And I'm just going to drag and drop that in there. And as you can see, we've got a score, we've got shots, we've got hits and misses. Alright, so we've got a few objects in there. Let me go ahead and we'll just test that really quickly. I want to expand my floor a little bit. There we go, and I'm going to play that. In the meantime, does anybody have any questions about interactivity? Is there anything specific that anyone was hoping to learn how to do?
I could say something if nobody else is.
Yeah, please.
So for the projectiles, is it possible to make it so that, like, let's say you shoot whatever it is you're shooting, like, let's say in this case you're shooting the target, but if we wanted it so that, like, if you actually hit the target, that it would disappear, is that possible?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Okay, cool.
There's actually, I'm not sure I built that into it. I will add that if I did not include that, so that that's optional, whether or not the object that you shoot disappears or not. But as it stands, the thing that you shoot, whether that's a ball, a laser, a bullet, whatever it is, you can choose to make it so that it disappears or not. Because if you have a bullet, you're going to want that to disappear. But if you have a basketball, you're not going to want that to disappear when it hits the object or whatever. So that's already built in. But you know what? I just, it was pretty involved module. I don't recall if I added the functionality to make the object that you hit disappear or not. But I'll include that and update it if not.
That'd be cool. Yeah, I think, like, let's say, you know how you have it currently where you run into, like, the lightning bolt and it, like, makes the sound and goes into particles?
Yeah.
Like, that'd be cool if it did the same thing, except just by shooting it, it does it rather than the avatar running into it. So, like, you shoot it and then it, like, vaporizes or...
Yeah, and so right now, when you shoot an object, this is the first time we're going to the playground, so it takes a little while for it to publish it. But right now, when you shoot the target, the points animate out of that target. So you can go into that object and just put that particle system in there, and it should magically just work.
So and then is there overall like point system that could be implemented in some other way as well? Or
what do you mean?
Like an overlay on the Mona interface that's like, you have 10 points or whatever.
Yeah, you certainly can create a HUD of sorts if you wanted to. I mean, by default, it has a scoreboard. So let me see, how would you do that? Yeah, you'd have
Would it follow you around, or it would only be in one area of the space?
It could. It's relatively easy to create a kind of a HUD. Yeah, you'd have to make some adjustments, but basically you use a canvas with text in it for the scoring, and you essentially set a parameter for, like, I believe it's camera space or something like that, and it just forces that to stay wherever it is that you're looking. So it's really relatively simple. I mean, it takes maybe about 5 minutes, but by default, it does have it does keep score, and it keeps score as well of hits and misses and things like that. But yeah, you'd be able to basically take that text field and make it stick to the HUD, quote unquote.
Okay. And I guess my other question is, let's see, is there anything in the horizon with like a modular designed leadership board, or like some type of way where people could sign in with their MetaMask and then retain their point systems? Like, if, let's say, they visited the experience several times, but like this is their third time coming back, and somehow because they're able to sign in, they keep all the points that they got from the previous session.
I don't know how they're intending to implement it, but the leaderboard that you've seen on the different Halloween games are going to be made is going to be made as something modular that people will be able to implement into their worlds. I don't know what that means and what the final actual I don't know. I don't know what that means, whether or not. I mean, yeah, it's going to require you. I guess you don't have to log in with your MetaMask, because then it'll just be guest 1, guest 2, guest 3, or whatever in the leaderboard. Again, I don't know the details, but yeah, there's definitely an intention to make that happen. You guys will have to excuse me, I think, because of the recording. My system's running pretty slow attempting to view this space. I don't know why that is today, but anyway, so here we are. I just implemented. We had the gravity fan that I added in here, which makes me jump way up high in the air. And then, where do we go? Where's our stuff? Over here is an example of our super jump power up. The highlighted space, for those of you who've not seen that workshop, is not intended to be visible in your final world. It's just so that when you're building it, you know that this is the area where the super jump happens. And then we'll get to the shooting in a minute here. Let me just show you. So now we've got a keypad lock that we can use as a door to lock a space. And the door opened. Sorry about the wobbliness there. So here's our target from our shooting module. It's just a demo target so that you can utilize that to create more if you wanted to. And basically you just hit S to activate it. And you can change that to be whatever you want. And right now it's actually working with the mouse. Sorry, this video is so bad. But yeah, so you hit the target and the score pops up. So that's what I was talking about, Z. Right now, if you hit whatever it is that you designate as a target, the score pops up animated. You can keep that score, but you can also change that. Like I said, just go to that. Actually, let's look at it right now. So here's the super jump power up. And I just clicked on the actual icon itself. Let's see.
Okay.
And let me see, where's my... I forgot where I put the particle system. Oh, there it goes. So inside the super jump power up, there is a particles object. So you would literally like copy that. Let me see if I could do it right now. So in the project module folder, I just clicked on the points. So this is the points that you saw. It gets changed dynamically to whatever score you want it to be. And I grabbed the particle system. So I'm just going to right click and I'm going to paste as child the actual particle system. So that's in there now. So now if let me see.
Oh, that's interesting.
So if I turn it on, because it's off by default, I'm turning it on. So now if I hit play, you can see it right there. You see it? It's a little bit faint. So I just added the particle systems to that. So theoretically, now when we go play that, you'll see the particle system happen when we fire at the target.
Okay. And so those particles come out when the ball hits the target.
Yeah, and the points that we see here in the projectile module kit, that points object doesn't exist in Unity until we hit the target. So it basically pulls it out of our library and sticks it in there. So the animation will automatically just play once it appears. And then after a few seconds it disappears, so it's no longer in memory or whatever. But there we go. We just basically added the particle system to that point system. Thanks for that, Z. It was a good opportunity to show how you can kind of mission match some of these things.
Interesting.
Did anyone else have any questions? All right, so I'm going to quickly show you how the projectile module works, and then I'm going to continue putting some things together, something that we can actually play. And in the meantime, feel free to interject if you have any questions, or if you have any ideas of something specific that you want to build. Feel free to open up Unity if you have some 3D models you want to work with, a door you want to open, whatever it is, and we'll address it. So here we go. We've got the projectile module, and in the hierarchy, I'm going to click on the projectile module object, and we can see here on the right-hand side in the inspector, we've got our parameters for that object. So right now, I've got it set so that the activation key is S. You can come in here and you can change that. Click and just drag around until you find whatever key on your keyboard you want to be the one that instigates the ability for the user to shoot or throw or whatever it is. Then we've got our shoot sound effect. So you just basically want to go ahead and click on that, find the sound effect that you've already imported or import one, and just go ahead and select it as the sound that you want when you fire. And our projectile. So this is actually the model, the 3D model that we're actually shooting. So if I go into the project folder or the project tab in the Mona library folder, into our visual scripting projectile module folder, in the assets folder you'll see a projectiles folder. That currently contains just some stuff that we can play with, including the laser that we just saw shooting. So there's our laser. And Z, this is where it kind of was like, okay, Z wanted to be able to, for anyone who doesn't know, Z's got this amazing world about water conservation, and he wanted to make a game where some of the things that we had talked about was the ability for someone to shoot lasers out of their eyes and destroy the garbage in the ocean or whatever. So, Z, I was going to show you, you can come in here into the laser. I'm just copying that laser, just making a duplicate of it, and just making two of them. That's it. I'm done. So now you can pretend those are lasers coming out of the person's eyes or whatever, and we'll test that in a minute. Great concept. So in the parameters for in the inspector for the projectile module, you can change that object. So right now we have it set to a laser. I'm going to go ahead and drag and drop a ball in there. So now we've got a ball. So now it's going to shoot a ball. But obviously a ball doesn't go, 100 miles per hour and destroy itself when it hits things. So moving along, we'll get back to that in a minute. But we've got force, which is just a value. Right now it's set for the laser at 120. For the ball, I think we want something more like 12. But I'm going to show you how I figure that kind of stuff out. Then we've got force mode, which is just different ways that Unity can calculate how it pushes the object. So right now I've have it set to velocity change, and there are some options for force, acceleration, and impulse. You don't have to think about that. You don't have to worry about that too much. I'm going to show you how that comes in handy and how you can create basketball versus a bullet versus some other object you want to throw, and how its physics should interact with the world. Then this was one of the things I was mentioning a moment ago, Z, is an option for destroy on impact. So that's just to say that when the bullet hits the target, it disappears. So now that I've got a ball, and I don't want the ball to disappear, I'm going to uncheck that. And then this one's really important for you, Z, and in general. So this is the projectile spawn position, and we have an X, Y, and Z value. All that is basically in relationship to our avatar. So I'm looking at the spawn point from Mona, just as an example, where around in relationship to the position of the player does the projectile come out of. So right now, if you noticed, I have it kind of coming out a little bit above the character's head. You can change that XYZ so that it can come out of their eyes, for example, like you want to do with the lasers and things. Or if you had an animation for your character shooting a gun, obviously you'd want the projectile to come out of the nozzle of that gun. That XYZ is basically so you can change the position of where it spawns from. And so let me show you how I figure out different projectile stuff. So here I am in ChatGPT, and I'm just going to basically say, in Unity 3D, what would be a good parameter for force, and what type of force mode to create a basketball?
Wow, it knows that?
Damn. Let me see if it'll give you... I don't know why I got so deeply into it.
Sometimes it lies.
Give me example values.
Sometimes it lies.
Sometimes it lies, so be careful.
Okay, so
Yeah,
it got a little bit too convoluted than the previous time I asked it. It got a little bit detailed, but here you can see in the code it's saying shoot force equals 15, and then the force mode is impulse. Let me see, just tell me the values only. Alright, its brain hurts today. Oh, there it goes. Okay, so shoot force 15, dribble force. We're not doing dribbling. Force mode impulse. So I'm just going to come in here. We're going to change our force to 15, and then our force mode to, it said impulse, right? Yeah, impulse. Alright, so we'll try it.
I did not know you could do that. That's cool.
Yeah, I did it for everything. I did like arrows. I experimented with all kinds of stuff. Even the laser, I got it from it. I was originally at like 1,000 force, 2,000 force, and yeah, it was really helpful. But ChatGPT actually for the visual scripting and stuff is actually pretty good about nodes. So if there's something that you don't know how to do visual scripting that you want to do, you just have to specify Unity 3D visual scripting. Sometimes you have to specify not Bolt. Bolt is the third-party tool that Unity bought, and it became quote-unquote visual scripting. All right, so now if I hit S, should be able to shoot.
that's important because sometimes when I did that, I did not specify, and then it find out that it lies to you. So it's good to say not bold.
Yeah. You know what? I think what I just did was I don't have the physics. Oh, there you go. Okay. So there's our ball, my ball object. I'm going to add a rigid body because we don't have any physics on the ball itself. So that's why it was just appearing on my head and doing nothing. So I think these default settings should work. So let me just try that. Yeah, it's too bad it's not there yet to where it can actually draw what the nodes look like for you.
I'm still seeing like a loading on your stream.
Like it's not showing?
Is it just me or is everyone else seeing his?
Is anyone else able to see my screen?
I can.
I can. Yeah, me too.
And let me rejoin.
All right, this better work.
All right, it works.
S. There we go. Now we have basketballs. And we can change the gravity and stuff so it bounces more. But in essence, just to recap, the thing that I missed there when creating another ball is you do have to have a rigid body on that object. So just to recap, I went into my ball object inside of the project folders, and I just went down to add component and added a rigid body. And this is using the default settings, so as you could see, the ball didn't have too much bounce, but we can change the gravity and things like that to make it have more of a bounce. And actually, let me go ahead and test these laser eyes. I just want to see what that looks like. So I'm going to put the force back to 120. I'm going to drag and drop our laser to our projectile. And I'm going to put the force back to velocity.
And so is there a certain way of triggering the shooting mode? And you said you press S?
Yeah, so right now I just have it so you press S, but you can totally make it to where you have to be in a specific area and the shooting will work.
Okay.
You know, the same way that we've done any other kind of trigger in any of the other workshops for anything, we can pretty much use that. Or, you know, it can be that they look at a button and then they have to press E in order to engage it.
I see. Can it be on by default?
Yeah.
Okay. And then you could turn it off at certain moment when they're looking at certain things and it won't fire.
If you wanted to, sure. Yeah, I apologize, guys. I don't know why my system's chugging today for some reason. But we do have our... Oh, there we go.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I apologize. It's not looking so great just because of the chugginess of my system at the moment. But yeah, so then you...
It's looking good.
But so you would change the XYZ, like I was mentioning, Z, so that it would actually look like it was coming out of its eyes. But that's what the position is basically for. Is right now I put everything kind of above the head. It's just a safe place for things to be because, let's say, for example, you put it in the eyes, you might run into you're not putting it far away enough from its face and it's spawning inside your head and it'll cause problems. You might not see the projectile. So just be aware of that. If you change the XYZ and it gives you problems, the bullets don't show up or whatever, consider that it might be spawning inside the body or something like that. One way you could go about it is you could probably go to the spawn point, create a sphere. This should work. You might have to play with it a little bit. But so, for example, do that and then get your position to modify it. You see what I'm saying? So I'm just using that as a reference point. Like, okay, I want it to spawn from about here. Actually, we might as well just try it. Let me see. So, oops, 1.65. Oops, I did that wrong. Alright, so I just grabbed the values of the ball that I placed in front of the character just as a reference point. And then I'll show you guys how to work the targets and the points that you achieve from hitting those targets. Does anybody have any questions?
I have one more question. Is it possible that, okay, so you shoot these lasers out of your eyes and then you're able to hit a piece of trash and then the trash disappears and kind of particleizes maybe into some bubbles, makes a little bubble noise or something. And then after shooting like 50 pieces of trash, is it possible to have like coral in another area like start growing and adding to the coral garden?
Yeah, of course, anything's possible, really, at the end of the day. Obviously, that's going to take a
I like
little
that
bit
answer.
more finessing. But yeah. So you can see, like, it's not created, right now it's not designed to be in front of the character's face per se. It's more about where you're looking. So that if you had a game, for example, where you wanted to turn around quickly and whatever, you don't have to actually like move your entire character around in order to face and shoot. So it is possible for it to be directly and only coming out of his eyes. But you can see, you get the general idea. Basically, by manipulating the XYZ, I'm able to change the spawn point for our lasers.
Yeah. Okay. Nice.
So yeah.
And so, is that something like, as far as the coral growing, once a piece of trash has been hit, is that something that you'd recommend using Reactor for, or visual scripting?
I mean, that's going to be entirely up to you, because those are completely, there's you can do something hybrid, which is a little bit visual scripting, some Reactor,
Okay.
or you could do, full on Reactor, full on visual scripting. The thing is, the shooting the lasers and all that stuff right now is exclusive to, or its capability is only possible with visual scripting. So if you went that route, you already know that basically nobody else would be able to see what you were doing. So yeah, that really depends on what kind of experience do you want it to have. Do you want it to be a mutual experience where everybody's able to see what's going on, or do you want it to be, something more single player? And obviously that boils down to, do you want what visual scripting has to offer interactivity wise as a single player experience, or do you want to make the compromise? And I don't want to say compromise, right? Because it's not really one's better than the other. It's just more of your particular use case and what you're looking to accomplish.
I see.
Where are you leaning with that? I mean, do you ultimately have an opinion about whether or not you want to do a mutual experience where everybody's experiencing the same thing together, or a single player experience?
I mean, I think that it's going to be weird for people just joining a space if, like, let's say half the trash is already collected or cleaned up, and then, like, well, what are they going to do? Like, clean up the rest of it? And then, like, if everyone joins the space at the same time, are they all getting the same amount of trash? And, like, I'm just having trouble reconciling, like, what the experience would be like, and what is better. I still haven't decided, but my tendency is to lean towards having it a shared experience. But I also want people to be able to, like, make progress on their own. So yeah, I'm gonna divide it out, I guess. It's probably gonna be half and half.
I mean, you're definitely gonna have to make some compromise one way or the other.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess you have to identify what your ultimate goal is to better guide which solution is best for your outcome. I mean, from what you're saying, it sounds like ultimately you want to have the ability to have it be a joint experience where people are experiencing it together.
Yeah.
But, at the same time, as far as like the visual scripting single player experiences, the Halloween games that we played didn't necessarily feel like they were missing the community feeling. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, you weren't playing together per se, but it still had a, we're in this together kind of vibe to it anyway. So.
Yeah.
So I'm just. What's that?
The leaderboard helped with that, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's actually a really good one. Yeah, you got a lot to think about there, man, because we explored a lot of options and we came up with Reactor solutions. We came up with now you have the visual scripting component is much more within reach as far as the lasers and all that good stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, you really have to just kind of make some decisions on that one. It's a tough one, man.
Yeah, I tend to incorporate a lot and then whittle it down.
Yeah, I mean, and then at the end of the day, it's like, it doesn't take much to make fun, interactive experiences. Don't overthink it, it's got to be fun too.
Right.
And remember that you also can use different tactics and mini games. Maybe one is collab, but maybe other does not need to be collab.
Right.
Yeah, or maybe you can even have a couple different experiences. Maybe some of it is one player and some of it is mutual. Yeah, I'll help you work through that. But yeah, you got a lot to think about on that one. And, the tricky part really is at the end of the day making it fun and engaging, whatever it is that you come up with.
Right.
And I would say that the visual scripting or Reactor, whether it's multiplayer in its truest sense or not, is all secondary to just having a fun experience.
Right.
I mean, even at the end of the day, it's like going around the ocean and being able to shoot up some trash. In and of itself, that interactivity is fun. So anyway, guys, I'm just goofing off here. I'm just actually putting some pieces together, utilizing the different kits to just demonstrate how we can put these things together. But if anyone has any questions, Joe, did you have any questions? I know you brought up some things before. Maybe you got some questions, but feel free to ask.
Hi, Pixel.
Hey, Joe.
Hey, yeah, I had a question, but I'm not in front of my laptop right now. I have to step out. I had the question about in our previous, the previous event we had. Yeah, it was about, when you have external links and maybe you have like a board, maybe in your space, you sort of like have a board where people can get like additional resources, how you sort of like link it to it. Yeah, that was my question then.
And basically being able to link to something external, a website, downloading some files or whatever from within a world, basically.
Yes.
Yeah, let me see if I can create a quick example here.
Yeah, the easiest way also is artifacts.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, I didn't even think about that one. So Arjun actually brought up a great point. So Mona has something that we call artifacts. Artifacts can be different kinds of objects. But let's say, for example, I have this cube right here. I could come in here into the artifacts folder. So in the Mona space, starter space in Unity, we've got a space scene, a portal scene, and an artifact scene. And all you need to know about that is just basically that when you add a portal to go to different worlds, you're going to put it in the portals folder in the portal scene. If you create an artifact, you're going to put it in the artifacts scene. So I'm going to go into the Mona library here, Mona assets folder, and I'm just going to drag and drop an artifact in here. You can see that object right there. It's got this character attached to it. That's for some future features. We don't have to worry about that. But I'm going to stick that artifact in the artifacts folder in the artifacts scene. Now that could be anything. So this box that I just created, I can actually cut that and I can paste it inside of my artifact. Paste as child. And I can remove that default box that we have there. That's just a placeholder. Oops. Where did my cube go?
Joe, if you don't remember this part that he's teaching to you other day or when you are in front of the computer, in the Mona documentation also is this information. Just look for artifacts.
Yeah, and so I stuck the cube, the object that I want. So let's say whatever, that's a mascot for a web page you want to link to. Let's say it's Pokemon character or whatever. So if I go into, let me quickly get in here. So I'm just going into the back end. I'm logged into Mona, and I'm going to the create section where we create spaces. So let me see, do I have one with an artifact? Let me pull up one with canvases. So I'm going to go into edit one of my spaces. So this is the back end. And right now, I don't have an artifact in here, but this is the similar functionality. Let's say that I did have an artifact in my space. It would show up here. These are canvases that display images in my space, but they're dynamic, so I can update them, or the owner of the space can update them. So similar to the artifact that we were creating, I'm going to edit this one. Canvases are also considered artifacts. And I have details, title, artist, description, etc., as well as the link that I want to link to. And then if we go to a space, oops. So I'm going to drop this in the chat. If you go check out that space, there's, and I'm going to go to it in my, oh, that's right, you're not at your computer, so you can watch my screen. So I'm going to enter this space, and basically in this space I have an artifact that I put a question mark symbol 3D object as my artifact. And I used it exclusively for exactly what you're talking about. So I had my 3D object of a question mark. I put it within an artifact inside my Mona space. I edited the details on the back end, and there's my question mark. And when I look at it, oops, where'd it go? Why is my artifact not working? Oh darn it. Alright, that artifact's not working. Let me show you the canvas.
This is a really pretty space, by the way.
Oh, thanks. I gotta pull up the hidden gallery. Oops.
Colors are very
So
beautiful.
these are canvases, but they're also considered artifacts. Similar concept, it's an object. And you can see in the bottom right hand corner, when I roll over or look at the object, there's these details. So I can actually click on view this artifact, and that will take me, I actually don't have this link. Oh, do I? Oh yeah, okay, so it's just linked to my Twitter page right now. But basically, it'll give you whatever details you put in the back end, whatever image, if any, that you supplied, and you can click view this artifact to go to that web page. So that's one way you can do it. And the benefit of this is that this is all dynamic. So you can change this even after you mint the space. You can change the details in that artifact if you wanted to. The other way to go about it basically involves visual scripting. It's relatively simple, but you can basically create this kind of no-code solution that will turn any object into something that you can link to anything you want to. The difference being that it wouldn't be dynamic, you wouldn't have control of it on the back end, you wouldn't be able to change it in the admin, and if you minted your space, that link would be permanent because you didn't use an artifact and the back end. Does that make sense?
Yep, it does.
You need any more clarification on that?
Nope. I think I got it. I'm going to experiment with it when I'm in front of my system, and I know this is going to be recorded, so I'm really excited to go through it again.
Yeah, cool.
If I do. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Did you have any more questions?
I do, but I also have some homework to do first before I ask them, just to be sure you covered them before. Yes.
Yeah, no problem.
I think today is the last day, but I'm not sure. Pixel, is today last?
For me, yeah, pretty much.
But we can always chat you up in Discord, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, Zap unfortunately couldn't make it, but and I guess he hasn't gotten to his elevator yet, but he said he's gonna finish that up this week, so he should have his interactive elevator done and stuff that we were playing with Argent. Does anybody have anything in particular that they were trying to implement in their spaces that we can work on right now?
I mean, I guess I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I could share my screen and show you how far I got, but
Yeah, what are you trying to make happen?
yeah, so definitely wanted to try to see how I could combine the projectile module with the powerup module and make it, yeah, so that like when you shoot the lasers, the trash disappears and like particleizes into bubbles.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of orders of operations that are mystifying me.
Wait, so run that by me again? You repurposing the power up module so that when you touch the garbage or
well, when you shoot the garbage with the lasers, that it disappears and particleizes instead of the avatar colliding with it. But that seems pretty involved. But I can show you. I mean, I haven't really gotten too far.
Well, actually, you know what? I totally almost overlooked this. So yeah, pull it up. Have you imported the projectile module package?
Yes.
Okay, great. So actually, let me show you. So we already looked at how to replace the points to make it so that, or to add the particle system to the points, right?
Right.
So you can do that. I would add the particle system to the points. Again, you just basically copy it from the hierarchy, go to the points, right click, and paste as child. And let me know when you get that much done. And actually, before we're almost wrapped up here technically, so let me just show you. So in order to make anything a target, if you click on the target that comes with the module, you'll see in the inspector there's a component for variables, and that has points and sound effect. So let's say that we wanted to, actually we'll do that. We're gonna make this door so that you can actually shoot the door and score points. So I'm gonna copy that component from the target, right clicking on the three little dots on the component and then selecting copy component, and I'm just going to come to the door, and I've got the left door object, and I'm just going to come in here in the inspector, select the top three most upper right hand corner little dots and select paste component as new. So now we've got our variables in there for the points and the sound effect. So now this has become a target, and I can change the points. So let's say I only want the user to get 500 points when they shoot this object. And then you can change the impact sound for when the bullets or whatever it is actually collides with that object. And then I'm going to copy this one. I'm just going to paste that onto the right-hand side door. Once again, I'm going to the three little dots in the inspector in the upper right, and I'm going to select paste component as new. So now we've got our component in there, and we've got our 500 points already because I copied it from the previous one. So that's what you want to do, Z, to your garbage. Copy the variables component from the target, paste it onto your garbage, and then theoretically you should be able to just launch your world, press S, and shoot at that garbage and see the points pop up. And I'll just go ahead and play this to test it real quick.
Okay. And then is there some kind of pop-up or instruction board? Maybe I could put it on a canvas or something that says like press S to start shooting, or just to let people know somehow in the space.
Yeah. I mean, again, we can make it so that they actually have to enter a certain area or whatever it is, or you could put a sign letting them know. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I was thinking of like when they first arrive, having some kind of set of instructions that just explains the world and how it works.
Yeah.
Because that's the big hurdle for a lot of people, I think, entering the metaverse. It's like just navigability, like navigating around. People don't understand like all the things they need to do, and like even just the navigation of like WSAD, all that.
Yeah, even I've been thinking about that with my spaces too, that I actually am going to create a video to make it a little bit clearer for people. So you can see I just added those variables. Remember I added the particle system. So now when I hit the door, the particle system pops off. We've got 500 points, and that's it. That's how you create any kind of projectile. That's how you make any object in your scene a target. Now, if I recall correctly, I'm going to just try to shoot. Okay, so you see when I shoot the ramp, it's actually bouncing off of it.
That's cool.
So in order for the other objects to also make the bullets disappear or whatever you're shooting disappear when it hits it, if that's the effect you want, you would put a target on it, or I'm sorry, you would copy those variables for a target onto whatever object you don't want to necessarily score points, but you would like the bullets to disappear, for it to act and behave in that way. Just set the points to 0. So if you want an object that the bullets disappear, or the object that you're hurling at it disappears when it touches it, but you don't want it to score points or show points, just add those variables onto it as if it was a target and set the points to 0, and that will make it so that the bullets disappear or whatever object disappears, but not give the user points. And just in case anybody missed it, because I had it way up high here, you do have a scoreboard right there. And it also shows you the shots and the hits and the misses and whatever. And if there's anything you don't want in that regard, you can just come in here into the hierarchy, into the project module. There's our scoreboard object. So you can move that wherever you want, or you can hide the stuff you don't want to show. So if I go into the scoreboard object, you can see scores, shots, hits, misses, and you can just come in here and disconnect it. Or actually better to just click off the mesh render, which will make it disappear, but it still exists, so it's still calculating the points correctly. Anyone have any questions about the projectile module, or anything else we've covered thus far? All right, I'm going to show you what I've been tinkering with while we've been chatting.
I have a question.
Yep.
We can do, for example, a match of a tennis match. That will be possible.
Yes.
With a non-play character, NPC.
Yeah, let me think about that a minute. So, and let me just show everybody real quick. So we had our door, we opened it, whatever. I could have put it here as the beginning of the game. Maybe you needed to have the code in order to even play at all. I created a few platforms, so now we've got our moving platforms here. Oh, I suck. We just respawned. Oh, I needed to change my spawn point. Where am I? Did I jump ahead? Oh no, here we go. Oh, darn it. Oh, fudge. I want to get to the gravity fan. Those things are so fun. Ugh, there we go. Oh man, I suck. It's hard because everything's all slow. But anyway, you guys get the idea. So technically, we're done. But if anyone wants to hang around for a little bit, we usually hang around and chat. If you guys got any more questions, I'm more than happy to answer them. Thank you for everybody for showing up and coming by, for offering feedback and questions and things. And again, if you have anything you want to cover, anything you want to share, feel free.